We have a very special show for you tonight. Episode 169 of Coast to Coast Pinball will be an evening with Ed Robertson, lead singer, main songwriter, founding member of the Bare Naked Ladies, a multi-platinum, award-winning band, rock and roll, as it may be. And I think you're going to enjoy this, so let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast of commentary. I'm a man out of quarters. Tonight, we welcome Mr. Ed Robertson to Coast to Coast Pinball. Or should I say, tonight, we welcome back Mr. Ed Robertson to Coast to Coast Pinball. Really enjoyed chatting with Ed. He's got lots of great opinions, thoughts, and stories about his love of the silver ball, as it may be. So, without further ado, we'll jump right into this. I would like to welcome to Coast Pinball tonight, Grammy-nominated, Billboard Music Award winner, and Juno Award winner, and I don't know what a Juno Award is, Mr. Ed Robertson from the Bare Naked Ladies. How are you, sir?
Great, Nate. It's good to be here.
Good to have you. So this is your second time on the podcast. I don't know if do you know that?
Well, I heard you mention me one time, but have I actually been on
You've
before?
actually been on, and I didn't tell you this as we've been chatting about doing this show because I wanted to see if you remembered, because I had money in my head on the fact that you wouldn't remember. But
I don't.
Yeah, Texas Pinball Festival, I want to say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I just grabbed you and said, hey, man, I have a podcast. And you kind of did the half eye roll like, oh, yeah, I'm sure you do. And I was like, would you want to be on it? And you did the really nice guy move and said, yeah, let's do it. And we talked for a couple minutes about pinball.
Wow.
Yeah. And I asked you how many games you had, and you rock starred me and said, just over 100, and then laughed at me as I believed you. So welcome back, Ed.
Yeah, well, nice to be back. I've been looking forward to getting back on Coast to Coast Pinball.
Okay. Well, the timing of this, I know you've been crazy busy. You're promoting the new Bare Naked Ladies album, Silver Ball, which comes out on June 2nd. Record stores everywhere. There are no record stores, I understand that, but you know what I mean.
The ones that are there will have it.
Yes, exactly. And then also, I guess, the Best Buys and the Walmarts of the world will have it. But as we're in the modern age, you can download Silver Ball on June 2nd. And, wow, you're the guy who's like the rock star guy who was into pinball, who took it to the next step and said, I'm going to name my album Silver Ball, and I'm going to put a pinball on the cover, and I'm going to do videos that are centered around pinball. Thank you. Like, tell me about that, and tell me how you sold your bandmates on that.
I think I might be uncomfortably into pinball. And now I've been into pinball for a long time. I think it's probably a typical pinhead story. I've loved pinball since I was a kid. I used to frequent the arcades near my childhood home in Scarborough, Ontario. And, the pinball area was where the older, cooler kids who smoked hung out, and I was in the front of the arcade playing Berserk and Robotron and Tempest and Donkey Kong and all of those great early 80s video games. And the pinball area was kind of this mysterious area that had this real kind of rock and roll allure to it. And I was a bit intimidated to go back there. And plus, when I did, I usually lost my quarter very, very quickly.
It can be brutal.
Yeah, well, and especially for a kid, right? I would have been 12 or 13 or something. But when I first started touring with the band, I'm the weird rock star guy. I don't drink or smoke or do any drugs or anything. So I was that guy, like in the early 90s, hanging out in a laundromat playing pinball. After my big rock show at some local arena, I would then go find a coffee shop or, a place like some sort of non-smoking place where I could play pinball.
That's really cool. Was there a lot of, so you guys started touring as the Bare Naked Ladies, what, like mid 90s, late 90s, kind of that era?
late 80s.
Oh my gosh, have you guys... See, you guys were really big in Canada before I became very aware of the band.
Yeah,
And
we started in 88. We got really big in Canada in about 1990. We didn't really hit America until the mid-90s. That's when we sort of became more known there.
Wow, so late 80s, there was still lots of arcades, like real arcades out there, too.
Yeah, I remember, the first time going into places like Boulder, Colorado, and just down from the venue, there's a massive arcade with tons of great pinball machines. So that was a kind of a mainstay of touring for me, was just finding cool pinball and playing it. I actually, and I've heard a lot of people say this, I never really considered that you could own a pinball machine.
Yeah.
When that occurred to me in the late 90s, and it was kind of in the very early days of eBay, and I saw a Star Trek The Next Generation pinball machine on eBay, and I was like, really? You can own a pinball machine? And it was a no reserve bid for Next Gen, and I got a smoking deal on it. And I live in Toronto. I always have, and bought it from this company in Pittsburgh Pinball.
Yeah.
And the guy emailed me back, and he said, "Hey, if you're interested, I've got a Twilight Zone as well, and I'll give it to you for the same price." And so I bought both machines. So my first two machines were Next Gen and Twilight Zone. That was 98. I picked up Lord of the Rings in about 2004. And I had those machines. I had those three machines until about 2 years ago. And then once I discovered I could actually maintain my own machines.
That's the trick, right?
Yeah, then I went totally off the rails, and now I have 11 machines, and over the last year, probably another 10 have come and gone. So I'm currently sitting at 11.
I read somewhere, and I think your drummer may have outed you on this. Are you part of a group that's like swapping games around between collections?
No, that's we're doing that with wives.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
No, yeah, we're I lucked into just a great group of dudes here in Toronto that between us own a whole bunch of machines, and nobody's looking to make a dime off of anybody else. And we just trade stuff around to keep our collections fresh. And I just happened into a really, really nice group of guys.
So as you toured throughout the whole 90s and 2000s, you saw sort of the kind of the rise of the Bally Williams era machines where they got really, really, really good, and then, of course, they went away, and we kind of had Stern drag us through. Did you notice that out there, being a pinball fan you were sort of an early adopter of home ownership? What was that like, watching that from your point of view?
Honestly, I kind of tuned out through that period. I had my machines at home. I loved them. I thought they were the greatest things ever. And I really wasn't, because arcades disappeared. And so I didn't follow that. I didn't follow the big buck hunter.
You weren't searching around for Sharky Shootout?
I wasn't.
No.
I just kind of, I fell off it for a while there. And I think the machine that piqued my interest again was when X-Men got released. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're still putting out pinball machines.
It seems like that like X-Men and Tron, that little era right there for Stern, I think a lot of people look back is the one that brought a lot of us, because I would say that's absolutely when I sort of looked up again and went, man, I love pinball. Why am I not, seeking it out more?
Yeah, that got me totally back into the hobby. I looked at picking up an X-Men machine, and I kind of hummed and hawed, and then when they announced Star Trek, I was in hook, line, and sinker.
What was the first event you went to? Because I've seen you at multiple events. I try not to, jump and, hey, man, get on my podcast every time I see someone. But what was the first show you went to since you've been back into it?
Texas 2 years ago.
So it was it was then. What was that like, going in and seeing 400 games in one spot?
it was magical.
Yeah.
And I had the best time there. I met so many nice people, and I just played pinball nonstop, and hung out with great folks, made a lot of friends, and I kept calling my wife, and I was like, okay, I think I played pinball for 14 hours today, and I could not be happier. And then, when I go to a festival, I just walk around and just play weird old EMs and stuff and things that I've never seen and don't have. That's what I love about it, is just getting a chance to play some rare games and some, beautifully restored games. It's I had my mind blown at TPF.
It was really that was an amazing show, and again this year, I got to ask this because I've seen it posted on some threads and we'll talk about some of the Pinside stuff in a little bit. But I saw this posted. People want to know, pinball fans who go to these shows and they're there to play pinball. They want to know from your perspective as you're a rock star. We'll call it like it is. Is it annoying on any level? And you can be real, but the friendly listeners of Coast to Coast Pinball, they can take it. They have the ability to take a hit here if it is annoying. How annoying is it on a scale 1 to 10 for people coming up all day long going, hey, are you Ed from Bare Naked Ladies? Hey, nice to meet you. All that sort of thing.
It is totally not annoying.
Oh, you're so nice. I knew you were going to say that.
No, it's, the fact that people care who I am or want to get a photo or want to get an autograph is the reason I have pinball machines in my house. Like, I have to keep that perspective, and I do. I'm grateful. Like, I've been in a rock band for 27 years, and people who have approached me at shows will tell you, like, I'm very easy to talk to, and more often than not, I'll just say, like, let's play a game of pinball. Like, that's what I want to do. I think it's cooler than just standing there and taking a selfie or signing a napkin or a pinball flyer. Like, let's play a game of pinball. I'd much rather do that. I've got all the time in the world to hang out and play pinball with people.
That's cool, and I'm so glad you have that perspective. I was on a flight yesterday, and Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks was on my flight, and I thought the same thing. I thought, hey, man, let's play catch, and he did not think that was cool. I'm just kidding. He was on my flight, though, but I left him alone as well. You were at Expo this last year, correct?
I was, indeed.
So what draws you to Expo? Because it may not be as many games to play, but it's obviously there's a ton of stuff. What was your driving kind of motivation to go out to Expo this year?
Well, a couple things. I was pretty excited to see Big Lebowski. I knew they were going to do a big reveal there. And also The Hobbit. I was looking forward to seeing The Hobbit there. And there doesn't need to be 400 games for me to be excited and go. I also, I had touched base with the Stern guys, so I was kind of doing a lot of pinball in that trip. I dropped by the Stern factory, and Jody and Paul gave me a nice tour of the old factory, I should say now. Yeah. It sounds like Ola Factory, doesn't it? But no. It didn't smell at all, that place, actually. It was lovely.
Oh, grammar jokes with Ed Robertson. I like it.
So a lot of things drew me there. A lot of people had said to me, oh, the panels, you're going to love the panels. I didn't love the panels.
Too much talking?
Yeah, I just wanted to play pinball.
Yeah.
Somebody had, like, a full collection of wedge heads there. Like, I think they had every wedge head there or something. And Phoebe had all her beautifully, lovingly restored machines, and it was great. I had a blast.
It is a lot of fun. So, Big Lebowski. We saw the launch, and there's a lot has happened with that project since then. But I think, as far as the game goes, what did you think when you first got to see and play the Big Lebowski?
I thought, it was obviously early code. It was basic. It was flipping, and everything worked. was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I thought like the overall fit and finish of the game was astounding.
Yeah.
Like it blew my mind. Bearing in mind that the code is early, I literally had I guess I shouldn't say literally. My socks were blown off by that game, and I just, what those guys accomplished in, I guess, what seemed like a really short amount of time. It seemed to me like Bally Williams didn't disappear. It was like they went away and they worked on their next great game for all that time, and then they put out the Big Lebowski.
It was so out of nowhere too. They snuck it in on us, didn't they? We didn't see that coming. That's interesting. Are you considering that as a purchase type game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was blown away by it. I have the Bride of Pinbot 2.0 conversion from the Dutch guys, and I think it's incredible. I heard you talk about it on one of your podcasts and saying, I don't know, $2,000 for a mod for what is really like a $2,000 machine.
Yeah.
It's a bit nuts. It's not a mod. It's a whole second game, and it's so cool. It's the theme of Bride of Pinbot, but it's another game. It's another machine entirely, and you hold the start button and you can go right back to Bride of Pinbot, which is that totally silly, totally fun sex doll of a pinball machine.
Okay, so which one are you playing more now? The new game or the original game?
I play almost exclusively a 2.0.
Yeah.
And even though it's not finished, like they don't even have the metamorphosis isn't coded yet, but they just added a new multi-ball mode recently, and it's super hard and really fun. And all the online functionality in it is like totally blowing me away. You can, your DMD, well, it's not a DMD, it's a screen.
It's like an LCD, yeah.
Yeah, it's an LCD kind of mimicking a high-res color DMD. And that, by the way, I think that's the way to go. Like, ever since WAS, everyone's saying, "Oh, Stern, come on, when are you going to have the giant LCD?" Frankly, I don't care. Like, a great color DMD, little more high-res, I think Lebowski is the right thing. Like, that size of monitor and that kind of resolution of graphics, I don't need more than that. I'm not on and I have WAS. I think it's fantastic, but I don't think the giant LCD is the only way forward for pinball.
I agree. I was actually playing Wizard of Oz tonight before I got to my hotel, and I was stopping during gameplay and holding the ball on a flipper often to see what was on the screen, because let's be realistic, when you're playing, you can't see most of that.
Yeah. It's really tough to glean the information you need from that much visual stimulus happening on the screen.
So no regrets on Bride of Pinbot 2.0?
None whatsoever. I'm so happy to have it, and the communication with the Dutch pinball guys has been unbelievable. I got nothing but great things to say, and I think Lebowski is going to be a serious game changer for the industry.
I think so too. I was talking about this whole kind of situation with someone else, and there's no doubt that Jersey Jack has made their mark, and Wizard of Oz is a fantastic feat of not just the machine and the technology, but also the coding of that game and the rule sets. What Keith has done there is, I mean, pretty fantastic. But I do think that Dutch Pinball has the potential in the next, 18, 24 months to really be the driving force of the other company.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a Hobbit on order, too. I've got a Smog Edition Hobbit coming, and I'm totally excited about it because I'm a super Lord of the Rings geek, and, I've had my Lord of the Rings machine forever. I finally made it to Valinor like a couple of months ago.
Oh, that's what a lot of people say they'll never see. I'll never see it, but I own it, so that's good.
Yeah, I made it, and then Kiefer actually busted my balls on a pinside thread because I didn't do it on 2-ball, and I was like, Jesus, man. Like, I was just basking in the glory of finally making it to Valinor. And then he's like, yeah, we only put in one ball for, lazy operators, basically.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, I felt so accomplished for such a short period of time.
That's funny. Looking at The Hobbit, I tell you, that expo, seeing The Hobbit the way it was, and I don't know how to put this. I don't want to. I wasn't really impressed with sort of the overall package of the playfield on day one, and I think they got that reception and went and made a lot of changes. I'm not sure where I stand on the game yet. I haven't gotten enough time to play it, but I do love the changes. I think it looks a million times better. Where do you stand as someone who's actually buying the game?
I put a lot of faith in Jersey Jack pinball. I think they're doing an amazing thing, and I am like totally not on the Woz is the greatest thing that's ever happened in pinball bandwagon. I think it's a great machine. I love it. I love having it in my collection. It's an awesome machine, particularly for people who are new to pinball or kind of haven't been paying attention. They see that machine and they go, wow, like I had no idea that there were pinball machines like this. It's a very impressive machine. But in terms of style, it's not really my favorite type of gameplay. It's a stop and starty sort of game. It feels a little more like you're interacting with a gizmo, a mechanical gizmo. That it reminds me of some of the older Pat Lawler, like Twilight Zone or Addams Family, where you're sort of a cog in a machine, but you don't feel like you're battling with a pinball in the way that you do when you're playing AC/DC or Star Trek or those games that are much more flow oriented. So I love my Woz, but I'm every time I read JJP has created the greatest pinball machine that ever existed and nothing even comes close, I'm like, please, a little perspective would be nice.
It's funny how people value different things in anything. You and I are both obviously into guitars, and I work for a company that makes some of the prettiest, the most ornate guitars in the industry, and you play them. But I was in a store today, and I picked up a 1970 little Martin guitar. I know I'm not supposed to say this out loud. And it's so simple. It's just mahogany and spruce, nothing to it. This little tiny simple guitar, and it was one of the most nice 5 minutes of playing guitar I've had in months because it hit the right tones. And I feel the same way about a lot of pinball machines. I can get on something like Centaur or, I don't know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, something that's really kind of simple, and just love it.
Yeah, right now, for me, that's Jungle Queen.
Yeah.
I've got a Jungle Queen in between my Walking Dead LE and my Star Trek LE. And wow. I think it sees more play than both of those games. I'll have a killer session of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I love. Miss Multiball is the greatest. It's the greatest mechanic, I think, in all of pinball. It is so stupidly fun. It's such a simple thing that is so fun. So I'll play a bunch of BSD, then I'll play a couple games of Metallica maybe, and then I play Jungle Queen. Like a couple friends and I will do like a toonie throwdown on Jungle Queen. Toonie is the Canadian $2 coin. So everybody lines up toonies on the end of Jungle Queen, and whoever takes the round takes the toonies. And it's like this awesome little palate cleanser in between your monster DMD battles,
I agree. And I've if anybody listened to the early episodes of this show, they know how A, ignorant I was on a lot of older games, and B, maybe just didn't appreciate them as much. But the more I go out and play, and as I've gotten into the competition side, and I know in some of our early kind of chats on email or whatever, you said, hey, I'm into everything about pinball. Let's talk pinball. Maybe not competition. That's not my scene. What I would say to you is if you're at an event, if there's a classics tournament, try it out. It's a lot of fun. Those old games seem to really draw in I don't know. It just opens it up where it's not so intimidating, and you can see some of the really good players in any setting just fall apart in front of you, and you get a few lucky bounces, and you don't have to know where every single little hidden trick on the shadow is or whatever. So I don't know. I love the older games. Love, and I'm in a big fan mode for those right now.
You know what I can't stomach is walking outside of the giant convention room filled with pinball machines and going and sitting on a chair and waiting my turn to play a game. I'm like, I don't care about the competition. I just want to go play a different pinball machine.
No, I totally get that too. That is absolutely true. So I saw you on this TV show called Breakfast Time, which I guess is a thing in Canada.
Breakfast TV.
Oh, Breakfast TV, not Breakfast Time, sorry. Breakfast TV. You were playing pinball. You were playing a Mustang pinball where the very nice host of Breakfast TV was doing something to a Star Trek machine. I'm not sure if I would call it playing.
My friend Wong calls that chimping the flippers.
It was pretty bad. So, of the later model Stern games, where do you stand? What's your pick of the crop?
I gotta say, Mustang is a killer machine. I have a Mustang LE. That game is fun, man. Like when I first saw that game unveiled, I thought there's no way I would ever buy. I'm totally not a car guy. I couldn't care less. I drive a 1972 International Harvester. Like
that's a tractor, and I don't believe you.
No, I do. It's called a Travelall. It's the 4-door version of the Scout. It looks like a giant station wagon. It's called a Travelall.
I'm Googling this. I don't even know.
Just Google 1972 Travelall. All one word.
Look at that. All right. I thought you were talking about like an international tractor.
Okay. Same company. International Harvester. They had a line of family vehicles up until about 75, and then from that point on, they only made industrial and farming equipment.
My father worked for that company for a very short period of time when I was like 3.
Is your father Mitt Romney Shivers?
My father is not indeed Mitt Romney Shivers. Is not indeed. Thank everything that there is.
Everything that is holy in the Mormon world.
Except, the bank account would be nice, I suppose.
Look, I don't want to offend anybody.
Go ahead, please.
I want to offend everybody.
Everybody, exactly. So you're not a car guy, but you have fallen in love with Stern Mustang.
I think it's a great game. I love that triple shot on the left side with the double ramp flap.
Yep.
I think that's wicked. There's like 6 different multi-balls in that game. I love the progressive Mustang multi-ball. It's reminiscent of the Blast-Off multi-ball in Apollo 13. And actually what happened on that show was I started a game, friends of mine from the local distributor brought them down there. They literally wheeled it out. It wasn't leveled properly, nothing. I turned it on, and it turned out I only had one letter to collect to start Mustang multi-ball. I fired it into the scoop and was in multi-ball like in the first 7 seconds of playing. So
I thought it was pretty funny that you were on what I presume is national TV in Canada, and you were way more concerned with the fact you'd started multi-ball than with whatever the host was saying at that point. I like that.
I just instantly become a pin geek and don't care that I'm on live television. I'm just playing pinball.
That could have been your high score ever. You never know. She screwed it up.
Yeah, it's that's a theme I would have never thought I would be into, and I love it. And everybody who comes over here, all my pinhead friends who poo-pooed that machine, they play a couple games on it, and they're like, "This game is killer."
And where I started appreciating that game was in tournaments, because it's such a pressure-filled game, and there's these shots that game hangs in front of you like, oh yeah, just hit this little flashing shot over here on the right, and everything's going to be better, and then you brick it 3 times, and it's that great risk-reward tension thing that they've pulled off in that game.
I think what that game also does really well is it uses the entire playfield. It's constantly getting you to shoot all over the place, shoot super wide on the left, hit the little mini stand-ups in between ramps and lanes and stuff. I don't know. I'm really impressed with that game.
What is your favorite song that is in that game?
I don't like any of the songs in that
wrong.
game.
Actually, the answer, Ed, was Ace of Spades. I'm sorry you missed that question.
Yeah,
sorry,
of course.
Sorry.
If I had to keep one song in that game, I've already pinball browsered my Metallica. So my Metallica machine only plays the 2 Metallica songs that I can stand. And the rest of it is like Queens of the Stone Age and Foo Fighters.
So the 2 Metallica songs you can stand are going to be Fade to Black and Unforgiven.
Incorrect.
Oh.
For Whom the Bell Tolls and Sad But True.
Okay. That's random. Those are kind of interesting picks.
I had to go with For Whom the Bell Tolls because it's in the opening scenes of Zombieland, which is one of the greatest zombie movies of all time.
I was playing the other night, and I have weirdly had my best scores on my Metallica game with For Whom the Bell Tolls, and when I started it, Teresa perks up and goes, "Oh, that's Zombieland." And I said, "No, that's For Whom the Bell Tolls. What are you talking about?" So good catch there. You like the game Metallica a lot, even though you're maybe not a Metallica fan.
I think for me, it's the greatest machine. It's the greatest combination of esoteric, weird Lyman Sheets rules with just fast risk-reward gameplay. I love Dirty Donnie's art on that machine. And, the hammer's crazy. I've got the Auric Hammer of Justice mod, which is just so killer.
Yeah, that's a really cool kind of redesigned hammer mod he did for that game. I like that.
I think some of the greatest mods in pinball. I love that hammer design. I love the lightning bolts that whoever did for AC/DC. I love Tim Measel's speaker mods for Metallica that go on the back wraparound ramps.
Yep.
I don't go too crazy with the mods, but the ones that I do, I love. I usually put a coin taker LED backbox kit in. I think it really brings the Translite to life. But I'm not crazy on the mods. I don't like to throw a lot of toys in, but if it's lighting and it fits the theme and interacts with the gameplay, I'm all over it.
That's kind of where I stand. I actually really love getting a game, and in the last couple games I've got, I did not need it, but I like changing out incandescent bulbs and putting LEDs in. That's really fun and therapeutic for me on some level.
Yeah, and if you're tasteful about it, I'll mod the lighting even on Mustang, which was all LED'd. It wasn't LED'd to my liking.
Exactly.
Anytime you hit the nitrous or got an extra ball, I felt like I was having an epileptic seizure. So I swapped out, put cool whites in all the cars, and I swapped my Ford. I probably should have done blue, but I did green on the Ford letters, and just kind of toned the whole thing down a little bit. Put color changing RGBs in the Cobra scoop lights and stuff, and the lights even on the back. There's a couple flashers on the back panel that were like right in your face, like it was like a paparazzi living in my pinball machine. And so I toned that one down a little, and now it's totally killer.
What car do you have in yours?
I don't even know.
What color is it?
I think it's yellow.
Yellow?
I don't even know. Maybe it's red.
That's funny. Okay, so Mustang Metallica. You have an AC/DC?
I have an AC/DC.
And okay, so AC/DC is a game that I really liked when it came out, but then it got away from me a little bit as the rules developed, and I kind of didn't know what to do. And I would see these crazy scores people were putting up, and I was just like, 6 million. I don't know what they're doing there. So as I've been finally going and learning and talking with Bowen and figuring this game out, I love it. I'm starting to have these horrible things where I log into the computer and start searching for where's a premium AC/DC for sale, and my wallet's
You're not pulling off those Keith Elwin's $1.4 billion jackpot shot?
No, I'm actually not. But I know about it. Where are you scoring in your AC/DC game?
I'm not great on it. I love that machine, but I'm not deep into it enough yet. I'm still doing the Hell's Bells trick.
Yeah.
And I drain more often than not when I've got I think my best jackpot was about a 72 million jackpot I got once, which felt amazing.
That's healthy. That's healthy.
It's not bad. But that's a solid game, man. I wish it wasn't so ugly. I really, I am of the club that thinks that is a hideous machine. Just all the red and yellow and the sweating tiny Australian men are just they in comparison to the Metallica machine, which is just bright and rock and roll and kind of badass. I think the AC/DC machine, and no offense to the king, Steve Ritchie and Lyman. I actually don't know who put the artwork together on that machine. I'm sorry that I'm dissing the artwork on that machine, but to me, it's the kind of the epitome of that cut and paste Photoshop thing that's all kind of slapped together. I don't love it, but I love that game, and it sounds awesome right out of the box. And I love that it's not like any of the other games in my collection. In terms of how you approach it, it's more like craps than it is like playing a Lord of the Rings or Metallica, where you're going on these journeys and trying to complete one mode and set up the next mode, and it's more like an all or nothing risk reward, like banking and building up, and it's all based on this like one build. I love that.
I do too. I think you hit that exactly on the head. What's funny is I was trying to figure out who actually did get credit for the artwork, and on both Pinside and on IPDB, there's nobody listed, so maybe somebody doesn't want to be known for the art design.
No one will take responsibility for it. Gary did that one.
Yeah, Gary Stern. There you go.
Gary did it in Microsoft Paint.
I'm really sorry if that was Greg Ferris. I apologize, Greg. I already have this weird feeling every time I'm around Greg that he doesn't like me, so this is probably just furthering that. I don't know. That's just in my head. The first time I had Teresa near an AC/DC pinball machine, I said, get ready, watch, and I pointed to the little dancing men, and she started laughing so hard I thought she was going to fall over because of how silly that was. But I don't know. There's something that I just love about the lameness of it with the music, though.
I think it's totally charming. Yeah. It's such a goofy little back and forth move. I just love it though because it's mechanical and it's pretty cool.
I mean, okay, so you just said the word mechanical, which like hit my head because when I was getting ready to chat with you about this, I was like, oh man, this guy's into music and pinball. We got to talk about it. I'm going to loop back around to music here for a minute. I listened to your new album. It's been up on the web to stream on a few sites for a few days now, so I've been able to kind of hear through it. And I will admit, I have not heard your last few records. And the first thing that struck me when I got to hear Silverball, the album, not just the song, but the album, is how there was this really nice kind of warm, fuzzy analog feel to the guitars that I don't know why, I just didn't really expect it, maybe. And it made me think, like, okay, so Ed's into pinball, and one of the main things that drags us all into pinball is sort of our, not rejection, but our turning our back a little bit on console games and video games and everything being shiny and slick and digital, and saying, I want to actually push a ball around a wood playfield and hit it with stuff. Your music sort of had a little bit of that vibe. Like, I could picture an amplifier, not some sort of rack gear, with a guitar, with a pick, and you playing it. Is there? Am I crazy here? Am I looking too deep into it? Does that play there?
No, absolutely. I mean, we make very organic records. We sit in a room as a band and play songs together. And last couple records, we've worked with this producer Gavin Brown, who's an old pal from our hometown in Toronto, and it's all about getting that great guitar tone and finding the groove for the song and figuring out the arrangement and hammering it out. Now, we use all the modern technology that everybody else uses. We use Pro Tools and we edit things together, and we take advantage of all that technology.
Only a real masochist wouldn't use that stuff to record nowadays, I would think.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, the Foo Fighters, I think, record on tape in Dave's garage.
Absolutely insane.
It is insane. It's ridiculous. And I know it sounds better, but to me, the trade-off for the minuscule amount of sonic difference, when I know most people are listening to my record on the headphones that came with their iPhone. So I'm not going to sweat that 0.5% that's missing sonically. But yeah, I mean, we're a rock band, man. I cut my teeth in cover bands growing up, playing Rush and the Police and the Talking Heads and Peter Gabriel stuff, and and got into. I was kind of raised on country music, so I grew up playing acoustic guitar, and I think really got a sense of song from all of that. But for me, it's always been about the song and about a singer-songwriter, and I love people like Tom Petty, just kind of great American singer-songwriters.
Were you an Eagles fan?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear that. It's in there.
I can remember one time we were recording one of our. I wish I could pull the song out of my head. It was on. We did a greatest hits thing, and it was on this song called. What's Thanks, That Was Fun. It's called, and. We did the bridge and Thanks, That Was Fun. And I remember Steve said, it's kind of Eagles-y. And I said, you know what's awesome? The Eagles.
Exactly.
And I was like, if this reminds you of the Eagles, hopefully it's because it's also awesome. Like the Eagles are awesome.
Yeah. I thought there was a healthy dose on this record, maybe more lyrically here, of, I don't want to use the word, I wrote words down. I almost a resurgence. Like there's a bit of like a comeback vibe to what you're singing about, and maybe a little bit of like kind of like refinding your way. And I know the band's had some changes over the years and whatnot. And it seems like I don't know. I just felt a little bit of like shoulders back, guitar turned up, and here we are. I liked the vibe. I mean, what was the songwriting process like for this record?
It was the first time since making our first record in 1991. It's the first time since then that I had no consternation, no hand-wringing, no anxiety whatsoever about beginning to write. And it was so refreshing. I was traveling around the country and doing a bunch of charity work with another Canadian a singer-songwriter named Jim Cuddy. He has a band called Blue Rodeo, and they're like, I think they probably won more awards in Canada than
more of those Juno Awards.
Yeah, like they have truckloads of Juno Awards, and super nice guy. And writing on the last record on Grinning Streak, I was really stressed out, and we'd made All in Good Time. It was our first record as a 4-piece, and I felt like, we can do this. We really can do it. And it was so great. And we got out there and we toured and it was amazing. And then I thought, oh, shit, I have to do it again.
Do it again. Yeah.
And it felt like a sophomore record all over again. And, so I was traveling around doing these charity shows with Jim. And I said, geez, Jim, I just don't know what to write. I've written so many songs now. I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to think about. I don't know if anybody's listening. I don't know if anybody cares. And Jim just kind of looked at me and he said, yeah, but it beats hanging drywall, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And he was being a dick, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. It was like, get your head out of your own ass and realize you're in a rock band. That's your job, All you got to do is write songs and do good shows.
Go rock, son.
Exactly. And, so I finished off that record. We went out and toured and had the best time I've ever had on tour. So this is, last summer now. And just absolutely had the time of my life. And I felt like, wow, I'm lucky, man. I'm 25, 26 years into being in a rock band, and I'm enjoying it more than ever. And so when it came to this record, it was sort of like I filed that in my head. I need to keep that feeling around. And so when it came time to make this record, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go up to my cottage. I have a cottage a couple hours north of Toronto, and we got a beautiful place on a lake up there with only a Tron pinball machine.
Only a Tron. I like it.
Yeah, I don't have quite the collection that I have at home. Just one machine.
Something for the polar bears to play while you're not there.
Yeah. So I went up there thinking, I'll go up for a couple of days. Maybe I'll get 2 or 3, or if I'm lucky, I'll get maybe 4 ideas started. And after 3 days, I had 19 songs written.
Oh my gosh!
And I just felt so like it was this awesome culmination. Like it was the intersection of total confidence and really not caring what anybody thought for really the first time in my career. And so I wrote all these songs. I felt great. I said to the other guys, let's make a record, man. I'm ready. And we really hit the ground running. We worked with Gavin again, who we did the last record with, and we just had a confidence and kind of a swagger that I hadn't felt since our first record.
I was playing actively in bands and trying to make it, quote, my living around the time that I'm sure you, of all people, are very aware that the whole thing changed. It went from us talking to labels and labels saying, yeah, come to LA and play a showcase gig. And we were having friends get signed to like small development deals and all this was happening. And then the internet happened. And the whole thing just got flipped upside down. And instantly it was, no, go do it yourself. We're not signing new artists. You're crazy. And friends of mine, people that I knew, like I knew Robin Wilson and the Gin Blossoms pretty well. You saw this change of like, I don't think we can make money doing this anymore. What do you fear? What's that been like being a professional musician, watching the rise of the internet and file sharing and downloading, and how has touring sort of supplemented some of that and all this stuff we hear about in the music business? What's that actually been like on the front line for you?
Well, it's been a massive, massive shift. I mean, we went from a band that would put out a record and sell 6 million copies, or 2 million copies on one that didn't do that well.
Yeah. Oh, only 2 million.
Yeah, and now we might sell 100,000 if we're lucky, But that's just the reality. There's a couple of artists. There's a handful of artists that still sell a lot of records, and nobody else sells any.
Yeah, it's amazing how I hear the numbers read off on like radio shows. Somebody like, oh, Taylor Swift sold 100,000 records this week, and I'm like, that used to be nothing.
Yeah, and now, it's been a radical shift, but we're fortunate in that we were at the height of our success at the height of the record industry.
It's very true. It's perfect. I wrote the words down, perfect timing, when I was looking at that earlier.
Yeah, so we went around America and we played giant sheds and arenas in the late 90s, and we really, built a loyal fan base. And, we're known for our live shows. And people go out to see the band multiple times in a summer, and people sort of plan their vacations around seeing us a whole bunch of times because every show we do is different. There's lots of improv in the show, and it's full of spontaneity and lots of fun. It's a very geared towards where we're playing that night, and we'll work all kinds of local stuff into the set, and it's a lot of fun. And so we were lucky. We were huge when the industry was huge, and we built up this huge fan base. And so even though record sales have almost all but disappeared, we still have this big fan base, and we can go out and play shows. And we're going out and doing 32 shows in America this summer, and then we go over to the UK and do a bunch of shows there, and then we're touring for a couple months in Canada. So we've just maintained a large audience, and we're very fortunate that I wrote the theme song for The Big Bang Theory, which became one of the most popular comedies on television. And so
syndication is nice, isn't it?
It's all right.
It's all right. That's awesome. That is fantastic. When I told Teresa I was going to chat with you, she goes, "Oh, I saw them once. They're great." And I was thinking, I saw them too, and I couldn't really remember. And then it all came back to me. An ex-girlfriend of mine, quick story here, said, "I want to go see the Bare Naked Ladies. They're so fun live." She kept saying how fun you guys were. They're so fun. They're so fun. And I'm like, punk rock guy. This is like 1998. And I'm like into Bad Religion and Pennywise. I'm like, yeah. Bare Naked Ladies. Yeah, I know the songs. And no, they're so fun. You're going to love them. And we went and saw you guys at the Desert Sky Pavilion at the time. Summertime. It was ridiculously hot outside. And I had a blast because you guys were fun. And I just kind of remember being almost grumpy the fact that I was so flipped around on your band seeing you live. And I've always had this thought of you guys as this live, fun, not comedy exactly, but a lot of laughs at your shows. It's a rock show, but a lot of laughs.
See, that to me is actually some of my favorite reactions to our shows are the people who've been dragged to our show by someone who's crazy into the band, and then they have to reluctantly admit how much they enjoyed the show.
Well, and it was, and I mean, I have to say, the singing also blew me away because I was into like alternative rock too, and it was on the heels of me seeing Everclear. I don't know why I remember this. And I seen Everclear probably within a week or two, and they were, and I love that band, but that guy can't sing live. He cannot do it. And then I went and see you guys, and I was sort of kind of almost annoyed at how good the vocals were and how pure the harmonies were. I was kind of like, really? Like this like pop band that's all over the radio right now can sing like that?
Well, that's nice. Thanks. We started out just with acoustic guitars and percussion and five guys singing. That's, it was all about the vocal harmonies in the beginning. We were much more influenced by like the Proclaimers and the Kingston Trio than we were by, Nirvana and everything that was huge in the early 90s when we came out.
It makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you this. I know that Ryan Adams, another rock star guy who's into pinball, tours with a pinball machine. Have you done that?
No. He got a road case built for his Metallica machine. Yeah. What a prick. No, I don't. I have really thought hard about it. I've actually, I'm picking up an America's Most Haunted on this upcoming tour. And I'm trying to decide whether I should pick it up at the start of the tour and drag the machine around with me to 30 shows in America, bouncing around in the back of a rock and roll truck. Or I'm kind of thinking after the last show, I'll just have my truck stop on the way back to Toronto. Our last show is in Seattle at the end of the tour.
Which is by Benton, Wisconsin, by the way.
Yeah, it's just, it's probably 46 miles, I got to say. Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm just going to route the truck. It's got to go by there to get back to Toronto anyway.
Yeah.
It actually wouldn't be far out of the way for the truck to go there because it's got to drive all the way back across the country and get our gear back to Toronto at the end of the tour. I think I'm going to do that. I'm a little worried about putting that kind of beating on the machine. Maybe I should call Ryan and see if I can borrow his road case.
Yeah. Well, he tours like kind of constantly, doesn't he? Yeah. You should get one made. I think that I don't know. I think that's pretty rock and roll to have one. Is anyone else in the band into pinball?
Not even close to the way I'm into pinball, but they all like it. Everyone was totally down with, sort of theming this record around pinball. And, when we're touring and I find a good spot, I send out a text to all the guys, and more often than not, Jim, the bass player, will join me for a pinball sesh. But I often go alone too. If we do a sound check and then I've got a couple hours before I do the show, I'll find pinball locally and go play some games.
Absolutely. The song Silverball, you released it sort of first, kind of out ahead of the record, even ahead of a lot of the promotion for the album Silverball. You released it with a letter to Pinside, which I thought was pretty awesome because I think a lot of us have to be very thankful for what Robin's built there with Pinside. It's an amazing community and site. And you filmed sort of its own little video, which was not a single release video for, say, music television, if that exists, or YouTube and whatnot. It was more just kind of aimed at the pinball fans. what was the songwriting process like for that song, in that I know it's not always the easiest thing to say, there's this thing I want to write about, and I'm going to write about it and then not be like too on the nose about it and not make it too cheesy. And you took this approach of sort of tying your love of pinball into sort of a love song, I believe that's what it's about. What was that whole process like?
Well, I heard that over and over and over again as I talked to people at shows and as I met other collectors and stuff. People always say to me, you got to write a pinball song. And I really thought, Pete Townsend wrote a pinball song and it's great, and there doesn't need to be another pinball song. But when I thought, okay, well, some people that I really like have asked me to write a pinball song. So what can I do here? And when I started to think of pinball as a metaphor for a relationship, I was like, that's what I'm going to write. I'm not going to write about how cool pinball is and how I love to play pinball. When I started thinking, you light me up, and I'm free game. And when I started to think about using the metaphor of the physicality of pinball, to use it as a metaphor for a relationship, it just fell into place. And I wrote it in a matter of, an hour or two. And I love the second verse, which is the whole Lord of the Rings journey.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think I wrote a fun song that for pinheads, it is like crisply on the nose and so specific. But if you're not ridiculously into pinball like we are, it just sounds like a love song.
Absolutely. So here's another instance. When the song first came out, and I'd never said a word to you except last time you were on my podcast, I instantly heard it, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's the new pinball anthem," and I was like, "No, it's not. No, it's not. It's like a love song." And I sort of wanted, in my like weird counterculture mind that I slip to sometimes when it comes to music, I wanted to not like it because I'm like, nah, you can't replace Pinball Wizard. And then I realized you weren't trying to, so I liked it a little bit more. And now that I've gotten to listen to it, it's probably my favorite song on the record, and not because it's pinball related. In spite of that, it has that. And I think a lot of the songs your band has this. I'm just gushing at the rock star on my show right now. You're really good at capturing that sort of, like you said earlier, kind of that American singer-songwriter thing. That summertime, hook-filled song that sort of has this little tinge and around the edges of sort of melancholy. And I really like that. And that's why that song has grown on me. And I really like that song now. And so kudos on that.
No, thanks, Nate.
I'm into it. Talk to me about the video that you just recorded at, I believe, I don't know, was it all green screened, or how did you go and record for the first single off the album, which I'm totally blanking on the name of the single now. Here I am.
It's called Say What You Want.
Say What You Want. I knew it was Say Something. Okay, so Say What You Want is the first official single. There's a video out for it. There's a Bare Naked Ladies pinball machine. You've reached the apex. You're there. Your face is on a pinball machine. Tell me about how that all came together.
Well, it was the producer Gavin that suggested we call the record Silver Ball, which the band was all into. My manager was into it, and then when we got the treatment back for the video, because the first single was going to be Say What You Want, so we put out to some friends. These guys, Rooster Teeth, have done our last 3 videos, and people will know them from the Red versus Blue Halo cartoon series, and they do lots of other shorts and stuff. They're awesome. Austin, Texas-based production company. They've been pals with us for over 10 years. They made some custom video spots for, I think, the Maroon tour, so back in like 2000 something. Wow, it's 15 years ago. Amazing. Anyway, when Matt submitted the treatment, it was this idea to put the band inside a pinball machine and have a girl playing it from the outside and kind of knocking us around. And I thought it would be really kind of fun, retro-looking video. And to hear you say, did you guys green screen it? I wish we'd thought of that. We built like a 140-foot long pinball machine.
No, you didn't.
No, we didn't.
No, I will not get tricked by you again, Ed Robertson. No, you did not.
We shot on a green screen in our hometown in Toronto, and they mocked up that pinball machine at Pinballs in Austin, Texas. Darren Spone, I think is how you pronounce his last name, totally stepped up and helped out with that. He said, "Oh yeah, give you guys whatever you need. We can set aside an area in Pinballs for a couple days, and we'll help you mock up the machine." And so they put some screen printed artwork just on the play field, and it wasn't really a working machine. It was working enough to shoot and get some cool close up shots.
What was the game that they put the art on?
I was wondering if you were going to ask that next. I don't know. There was some speculation on Pinside, and now that you ask, I think someone had pretty much figured out what it was, though they said the pop bumpers were placed weird and were maybe blocking the lane
shots. Did they
shots.
say it was Kiss? Like
it might have, yeah.
Kiss, maybe?
Yeah, but because the art was covering up all the inserts in the lower flipper area, it was sort of hard to tell.
Gotcha. Well, that's very cool. Where is the machine now?
I have no idea. I assume it's still at Pinballs. It was never really a complete working machine.
Sure.
We shoved that back glass into a machine with just temporary art and not really connected pop bumpers and stuff on it.
Very cool. So let me ask you this. Are you into Kiss or not?
I told my good friend Drew that I would punch him in the face if he bought a Kiss pinball machine. He was excited. He's like, "Oh, Kiss is coming up next." And I was like, "Dude, like, they're a fake band. They're merchandising first, music, production second. Yeah. Music is like fourth or fifth. I don't know where it sits, and I know I'm going to get totally flamed for this because I know there's hardcore Kiss fans, but you know what? Here's what I'll tell you. My next door neighbor when I was growing up was a really cool guy. This guy Steve Reynolds, and he was quite a bit older than me, like 6 or 7 years older than me. But he was always nice to me. He was a really, really nice guy. And he was a musician. He was a keyboard player. And, he would teach me stuff on the piano. I was like a young, aspiring guitar player. And he was a friend of my older brother's. He lived right next door. And he just always had time for me, He never treated me like a little kid. And I learned so much about music from him. He just, he's teaching me like just simple stuff, Rolling Stones songs, and he's just a really nice guy. And one day he said, "Okay, we're going to have a rock and roll lesson today." And he put on his turntable, he sort of looked at me in the eyes and he put on a Kiss record. And he put on the song Dr. Love. Yeah. And, he put it on and he kind of stared at me while it played for a little bit. And then he took the needle and dragged it across the record and threw the record against the wall. Wow. And then he put on Van Halen 1. And he said, "That is rock and roll." And I'll never forget that. It was like the coolest thing for somebody to do. He was basically saying, like, that Kiss is the most jive, fake rock and roll imaginable. And, he hit me to Van Halen 1. And then he showed me all this stuff from the Police to, punk rock stuff and the Clash. But I'll never forget that Kiss versus Van Halen thing. So I said to my friend Drew, "I will punch you in the face if you buy a Kiss pinball machine." And then everybody saw the video of the Kiss pinball machine, and it looks so great.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, so I quickly emailed John Borg, and I was like, you, Borg. Like, I have a standing deal to face punch a good friend if he buys this machine. And now, not only will he probably buy it, but I'll probably buy it also.
Too. Yeah. Do you get the punch in the face back now?
Yeah, well, I guess that'll be the deal in the end.
That's cool. I'm actually really excited to play that. I don't know. It has a vibe, if nothing else.
Yeah, I love that they really borrowed and referenced the original machine, which it blows. The original Kiss machine, I can't believe they sell for as much as they do. It's a fun game. I shouldn't say it blows, but it's no better than so many other games from that era. It commands an unreasonably high dollar because of the Kiss Army.
Yes. Yeah, I played it tonight. I mean, I hadn't mentioned this where we're recording from tonight, Asbury Park area, so Silver Ball Museum. I don't know if you've ever been down there or not.
I haven't actually been there.
Really good spot, and they have a Kiss, and so I went there sort of. That was one of the things I wanted to play with the new one coming out, and I played it, and I played the Nugent next to it, and I played the Playboy next to that, and it's like they're all kind of,
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. But I think they did a great thing with that Kiss machine, and I'm reluctantly excited about the Kiss machine.
That's cool.
I'm going to wait for code, and then I may pick one up.
Is there any older game right now that's sort of haunting you? Because I get kind of caught on a game where I'm haunted by it for a little bit, and maybe I buy it, maybe I don't. Is there anything you've been thinking about?
You know what game blew my mind recently? Sea Witch.
Yeah, Stern. Old school Stern.
Love the layout of that game. A buddy of mine, Dave, in town here, has got a beautifully restored one, and it just plays amazing. And we've had some killer battles on it, and I stopped myself from rushing right out and trying to find one and trying to figure out which of my machines is going to go so I could put a Sea Witch in. And I was like, Dave, at some point, not right now, months down the road, can I borrow your Sea Witch for a couple months? And he was like, yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
I put the brakes on that.
Did you see the rumor that started up on Pinside just a few days ago about the possibility that down the road Stern might build a throwback game where they take one of their old school late 70s, early 80s Stern titles and build it now in the modern day?
I didn't see that.
A little bit of a rumor, and I think that with the Whoa Nelly project out now, that lends a little more credence to, could it be Sea Witch? Could it be Stargazer? Could it be, Nine Ball? One of those games from that era. I think that'd be a great idea if they could do it and get the price down a little bit, if they could simplify the game and build something that's just sort of flat with pop bumpers and spinners and targets and whatnot. I think that would be a very cool thing to own.
Oh, I think that'd be amazing. And I think it would be a huge hit with all the pinball collectors too. Especially, I think you hit the nail on the head though with price point. I think that's the kind of spanner in the works of Whoa Nelly. That's a pretty high price tag for that machine.
I think so, and I think that I've actually never been as conflicted about a game since this show started as that game, because I really wanted to love it and I just didn't love it, but it's beautiful, so I love it for the artwork and the design ideas. I love all of that. But I felt it was sort of a game without an identity. Because what is it? Is it a new game? It plays fast and snappy, or is it an old school game? It was just sort of caught in between to me a little bit.
Honestly, my problem was just the theme. I thought, like, I can't with a lovely, smart, funny 19-year-old daughter. I can't put that pinball machine in my house. It's just like, and I have a ridiculous sense of humor. Whatever. It just, like, boob jokes, really.
Yeah.
It just, to me, it was like, it just wasn't very smart. It's kind of juvenile overall. I would rather see something smarter and funny,
or just space. Like, shouldn't that be the default when you don't have a theme? Like, just do space, aliens and spaceships. I don't know.
Yeah.
I always think that. Very cool. Ed, thank you so much for coming on and doing this show. I had a lot of fun chatting pinball with you, chatting a little rock and roll. The hobby is glad to have famous people into pinball. I can say that, I think, confidently.
Well, let's do this more often, man. I love to chat
I think
pinball.
You should check in from the tour. The more little segments I can get with, good players and people with great things to say about pinball, the less talking I have to do, and that's only a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, if I find a good spot to play or have a good experience somewhere, I'll drop you a note and say, hey, let's chat about the pyramid scheme in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Love it. I'm for it. Free Gold Watch, pyramid scheme, some of the best named places in the world are pinball joints. That's good stuff.
Yeah, Free Gold Watch is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Best of luck out on tour. I hope it is nothing but successful for you. You're going out on tour. Bare Naked Ladies, the Violent Femmes, and Colin Hay from Men at Work are barnstorming the summertime around the United States. I love it. Check out barenakedladies.com, everybody, to see the tour dates. I'm getting into promo phase here. Your album is out next Tuesday, which is June 2nd, so support Ed, support the band. He made you a pinball record, people. What more do you want? It's been done.
What more can I give?
I know, right? So anyway.
It's got to be the first ever song released exclusively on a pinball forum.
I can confirm that, actually. It is the first ever song. It's great, and that's awesome. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to do it again. And take care of yourself out there.
Thanks, Nate. Talk to you soon.
I'll take care of you. Light me up and knock me down. I'm free game whenever you're around. So lock me in. We're special bound. 'Cause you're my silver ball.
I really can't thank Ed enough for taking time. And we always say people take time out of their busy schedule. His schedule today literally was like TV at 6 a.m., radio shows promoting his new album during the day, and then a charity gig he told me he had committed to months and months ago that kind of snuck up on him tonight. And then he took time out to come chat pinball with us here on Coast to Coast Pinball. So thank you, Ed. That was awesome. We'll be glad to have Ed back on in the future. And I thank you for listening. We'll be back with more good stuff in the next few days. Until then, play more pinball. Take care of yourselves.
Whenever you're around. So lock me in. We're special bound. 'Cause you're my silver ball. Silence is fine, but you won't play me blind.
I am here with Ed Robertson from the Bare Naked Ladies. How are you, sir?
I am having a blast, man, at Texas Pinball Festival.
I know. Who would have thought I'd run into you here, right?
Well, I'm a big pinhead, and I have been for a long time. So
I knew that because you do pop up on Pinside from time to time, don't you?
yeah, I lurk on Pinside.
You're a lurker. Somebody told me that a while back.
Yeah, I'm not telling anybody who I am on Pinside, but I love Pinside.
Is it BN Ladies 0011?
Yeah, no, that's not
That's
me.
not you?
No.
Wow, that's my alias. So you here for the whole weekend, just tonight?
Yeah, whole weekend.
Whole weekend,
I'm here
nice.
till Sunday
You gonna play
morning.
the tournaments?
Nah.
No. Yeah, I should take that advice, but I don't.
It brings people a lot of joy to play in those tournaments, and I just don't want to crush their spirits. Because all my dreams have already come true, and I don't want to start stealing other people's dreams now.
Ed Robertson, humble pinhead here at the Texas Pinball Festival. So
I don't even think I'd crock the top like 200.
It's tough over there.
Yeah.
I played in a team thing where I had a teammate. He didn't want to come on the show afterwards.
Occasionally I can land some pretty good scores, but I'm a little inconsistent.
So how many games do you own yourself?
245, 46.
What's your favorite era?
I'm kidding. I have 5 games.
Oh, he played Big Rockstar on me.
Yeah.
And I believed him.
I like a lot of. I like all of them really. I really like modern stuff, but I'm kind of looking for either a Bally Fathom right now or something in the early solid state, early 80s period. I like those pins a lot. but my collection is mostly modern.
What do you have at home?
I have a Twilight Zone, a Next Generation, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek LE, Wizard of Oz, and I think that's 5.
Okay, so Wizard of Oz and Star Trek LE, those are like 2 of the most recent big name titles.
Yeah.
Do you one over the other, totally different? I mean, they're very different playing games, obviously.
They're very different, and I'm really lucky to have both in my collection. They're very different playing games. I love the flow and the speed of Star Trek LE. When I first got Woz, I found it really frustrating and confusing because it was a beautiful game, but
everything
was lit at all times.
Yes.
The 2.0 code made a huge difference, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, I'm supposed to be shooting that now. I get it. So that was a massive improvement in that game. I've been playing it a lot more. And there was a code update actually on the way down here.
Was there really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there's a 3.0 code now.
Nice.
So I'm anxious to upload that because the update list was actually pretty extensive. I assumed it would just be a little bug fix,
Tweaks
but
and stuff, yeah.
there's a lot.
So I see you as maybe a Gorgar guy. Gorgar? No?
It's not my game.
No.
I love that era, but Gorgar, I don't love the art.
It's a little.
It's too creepy teenage boy in his bedroom.
It's angry teenage boy on a piece of white paper.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, that's awesome. Well, Ed, I want to let you go play some games, but I really appreciate you coming on Coast to Coast Pinball.
You,
It's very good to meet you, man.
Right on. Cheers.
Thanks a lot.